what I've done is I ground the burr off of the blank, and I put it into the chuck, not too far in so that I can't actually get my tool in there and machine it, and not hanging out so far in space that any kind of pressure that I'm going to put on this end is going to cause it to wobble. Now, it's sort of, somewhere on here I have about the zen of machining. Somewhere, under mindset. So, the main thing that I found really surprising as I got into machining and everything is that people assumed that it was this highly rigid, highly controlled. It's like, ooh, this is a big, scary machine, and everything's super precise. And so, but there's actually, you really have to listen to everything that's happening with your machine and your material. So it's just the same with any other sort of tool process where, you're filing and the metal is vibrating too much because it's too thin or it's hanging out in space too much or anything like that. That kind of common sense skill that we develop about really kind of listening to the tools and materials and having them tell us what's going right and what's going wrong. So it's the same thing with this. Now it's a little trickier because you haven't done this before, so it's like, how do I know if something's right or how do I know if something's wrong? But that's kind of where I have on here about the zen of machining, that you really just need to kind of think logically and don't forget everything else that you know. It's like if you have like a long piece of metal and you try and like saw or cut like out here and it's unsupported, it's it's going to shake and vibrate and it sounds horrible and things like that. So it's the same kind of way here, where if you have the material too far out in space, or you're trying to apply too much force to it, same kind of thing, is that it's going to wobble or possibly bend and things like that. So I went off script and I'm skipping ahead here, but we talked about materials a little bit. Generally, people don't machine silver and gold, although a lot of people do machine their waxes. Safety, just like we were talking out there with the bench grinder. All rotating processes share similar risks of projectiles or tangles, which is a nice, delicate way of tangles are very bad. But the same kind of things that you want to think about with all that you learned about the polishing machines apply right here. So having anything long tied back, no dangling jewelry, all those kind of things. So you should feel relatively comfortable that you've dealt with rotating machinery before. The important thing with your setup, now I like my apron or coverall because you are going to be using a little bit of oil to improve cutting, just like you use wax with cutting your metal and things like that. So it is spinning, so it is going to spray a little bit on you. So just like with polishing, you might want to have a little work apron. Resist the temptation to touch any rotating parts until they come to a complete stop. Everyone laughs, but you all know you want to do that when you're like waiting for the polishing machine to turn, like slow down so you can change the buff or something like that. So let this just turn itself off. Now, just so you know, language-wise, in the machining world, just like all like plumbing and electrical and everything else, you have these subsets of vocabularies. So in machining, if you ever want to go and have something machined or something like that, everybody speaks in thousandths of an inch, and they don't reduce fractions. And it has to do with kind of implying how precise you're being. So if you talk about, well, I want this machine down to 1/8 of an inch, generally then it's like plus or minus like 1/16 of an inch. So that's a very, very imprecise way of dealing with machining. So just so you know, everybody in machining land talks about thousandths of an inch. So 1/8 is 125 thousandths. And they never reduce fractions. It's not like you go into hundredths or anything else. Everything is thousandths. So it's like 10 thousandths or 100 thousandths or 125 thousandths or 50 thousandths or 500 thousandths or something like that. So it's just FYI if you ever want to like have something sent out and be machined and everything else. So don't rush. There's, you have plenty of time to work on this stuff. We have a sign-up list right here. I did all these calendars for the 3 main processes you're getting into, so you can reserve your time, so there's not somebody standing over your shoulder like, hurry up, come on, I gotta get to my class, So you don't want to be rushing with this. What I've said is, please do not sign up for more than 4 hours at a time outside of class, or for more than 30 minutes during class time. But you're welcome to do that. You want to make sure that you get in this particular class session on the lathe, and you want to work from 8:30 to 9, First come, first serve on here. Just sign on up. Now, I didn't black out when the other classes are. So obviously, since this is in the main room here, you can't be machining while someone else's class is right in here. It would be at the discretion of other instructors, like if you're doing electroforming or metal spinning, it would be at the discretion of those other instructors. I know some instructors just do not like any people extra in the studio because we already are filled to the max. And I know, for example, don't blame or hate Deanna, but she will be a total cop about it and likes nobody in the studio when her class is running. Just letting you know. That's how are you? Well, you're not in this studio this semester, but
If they ask and they're in the back, I don't care.
yeah. So everybody has slightly different policies, but just letting you know that right now. So how are you with metals? Like, you know, you're teaching metals one this semester, and it's like you want like, you know, 3 more people messing around electroforming, and you're trying to cast, and you know, it's just craziness in metals one. So it's completely understandable that any of the metal one instructors just like a blanket policy. No.
I have 19 students in my class.
And they have no idea what they're doing yet.
No idea what they're doing.
Yes. So
Yes.
yes, they're working on it. So just keep that in mind. Signing up here does not guarantee that you can just waltz right in the middle of metals one and start machining. So I don't want to get calls. So just talked about this end of machining.